burning question presented by Greenply, powered by Edelweiss Mutual Fund.
Soros link emerges through Apple's Snoopgate controversy. Were messages sent by Soros linked NGO? Opposition continues to repeat snooping charge. BJP hideout says opposition in cahoots with anti-India forces. Parliamentary panel contemplates summoning Apple representative over security alert messages. Sources say Mahua's parliamentary account was accessed 47 times from Dubai. She took 15 unaccounted trips abroad. From Jalna to Mumbai, mega showdown over Maratha quota continues. Shinde chairs and all party meet. And a first since Hamas-Israel war, 80 injured Palestinians taken to Egypt via the Rafah crossing. At war with Hamas and Hezbollah, Israel now faces fresh strikes by armed rebel forces in Yemen. Good evening and welcome to this Wednesday edition of Burning Question, friends. 24 hours after opposition MPs alleged hacking bid targeting Centre after they received an alert message, experts claim George Soros-funded NGO Access Now is behind this Apple Snoopgate. Taking note, the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Information Technology is now contemplating summoning of Apple representatives. Well, the big question which can't be ignored is, did Soros-linked NGO send those Snoop alerts? Or is the opposition actually, again, finds itself in cahoots, as the BJP alleges, with forces that are inimical to India's growth to prosperity? Have a look at this report and then we debate.
A day after opposition MPs alleged hacking bid after they received alert message on their iPhones,
पूरे ऑपोजिशन के खिलाफ यहां पे एप्पल का नोटिस आता है. इसमें लिखा है, यू आर बीइंग टारगेटेड बाय स्टेट स्पॉन्सर्ड अटैकर्स हु आर ट्राइंग टू रिमोटली कॉम्प्रोमाइज द आईफोन एसोसिएटेड विद योर एप्पल आईडी. जितनी टैपिंग करनी है कर लो, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. मुझे तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. अगर आपको मेरा फोन चाहिए, मैं दे देता हूं, आपको उठा के ले लो.
the principal economic advisor to government, Sanjeev Sanyal, has made a huge claim, saying that the security threat messages being received by some prominent Apple users are not quite from Apple, but from a Soros-linked NGO called Access Now. Following the massive claims, the BJP has hit out at opposition.
There is something that is being done at the behest of George Soros Foundation. The opposition is acting in concern because it is the same set of people who were the noisiest when it came to Pegasus. They're the same set of people who are now claiming to be at the receiving end of what they call snooping. But this country needs to know that there is an external powerful force that is working to destabilize the democratically elected government in this country and to undermine the political choices that people have made.
While opposition continues to attack the centre over hacking bid.
5-6 एमपी को ये लोग कहते हैं हमारा फोन भी हैकिंग कर लिया. आई एम गेटिंग द इंफॉर्मेशन. सबको नोटिस भेजा, सबको लिए ऐसा ऐसा होता है. एक ऐसा राज है ना जो हम कहने भी नहीं सकते. कहने से भी शर्म आता है कि हमारा बात कोई ना कोई वर्ल्ड का लोगों ने देखेंगे. क्या सोचेगा हमारा देश के लिए? हम देश को कभी छोटा नहीं कर सकता है. इट्स अ मदरलैंड.
The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Information Technology is contemplating to summon representatives of Apple during an upcoming meeting to address the recent state-sponsored attacks on several public figures in India. And amid all this, the only question remains, is Soros-linked NGO behind snooping controversy? Bureau Report, Republic TV.
All right, joining me to discuss this, BJP's spokesperson Charu Pragya. I can see Vijay Gajera. He's founder of Only Fact based out of Rajkot. He does fantastic work on a deep dive on forces that are inimical to India. And we also have a political analyst, Shyam Prasad Meka, leans towards the Congress party. Essentially, the questions we are going to ask. Charu, bear with me because I'll first go to Shyam Prasad Meka and then to Vijay and then I'll come to you. And because you have to, of course, defend the government. The questions that we are asking is the opposition in a version of forum shopping, partner shopping, given the fact that the India alliance effectively has come undone from Omar Abdullah in Kashmir to Akhilesh Yadav in Lucknow and others, for example, CPI, CPM, in Telangana and Kerala, the opposition alliance seems not to be clicking. So is the opposition looking for some partners abroad? Is there an element of foreign hand? Is something we want to understand. So Shyam Prasad Meka, I would want to begin with you. We have enough time between three of our guests and I'll take two rounds. Shyam Prasad Meka, please tell us, are you really making a mountain out of molehill? Because Piyush Goyal also, who's a minister in the government, received this message. So is the opposition, in the absence of a credible fight, trying to create an issue to embarrass the government in foreign eyes? Because by doing this, you present a picture as if there is a dictatorial big brother government snooping on everyone in the opposition space, which is not the fact.
See, first of all, the message from the Apple phones says a state-sponsored hacking is happening. Did the message say it is which state? No. Then why are we getting so impatient? Maybe China is trying to hack all the phones of the important leaders in this country. As you said,
very nice.
Piyush
Did you tell this to Rahul Gandhi?
Message. The important thing is the government need to get into it, investigate it, and find out the truth behind it. Then why are we getting so impatient? We're doing some conspiracy theories and all this nonsense.
I think Rahul Gandhi got impatient.
Shyam
Prasad Meka, Rahul Gandhi did a press conference.
Yeah. What did he say?
He said,
So,
please take my phone. He did not give the phone during Pegasus investigation, but he wants to give his phone to be investigated now.
So basically, what are you trying to say? This is nothing. Modi is some sort of...
What I am trying to say is...
Everybody is trying to derail him. That's what you are trying to say. Is that what the country is about? Is that what the politics is about? Hold on.
No, Shyam Prasad Meka. The reason why this story is trending is because the opposition...
What story? Where is the story?
Because the opposition picked it up and tried to project a picture of they being snooped by the government.
Wait. Why can't, just like the opposition leaders, why can't Piyush Goyal also complain and let the government of India find out the fact? What are we trying to do?
Okay, then let me go to Charu then. I would have, let me go to Charu, then I'll go to Vijay Patel. Charu, why is Piyush Goyal not complaining? And why no investigation is happening? It's possible that it's not, the opposition is not saying, Shyam Prasad Meka says it's possible it's China doing it, not any government of India backed actors. So in that case, there should be an even sharper investigation perhaps, and not the politicization we are seeing.
And who started the politicization, Abhishek? Tell me that. And who always jumps the gun when it comes to politicizing anything? The great Indian opposition. They cannot do anything. They cannot wait to get to the bottom of anything before they start giving out their statements. According to them, everything, even a stomachache, is Modi ji's fault. So let's get some facts straight. Apple has clarified that this is a third-party issue. Any attacker into the system is obviously well funded, and Apple has said this, I'm not saying this, and they are very advanced when it comes to technology. Second thing is that an incident like this has happened across 150 countries. So when the opposition jumps the gun and blames Modi government for everything, what's the story in these 149 countries? Or are you trying to say that those 149 countries also can attribute all their problems to the government here? They don't get their facts straight. The next thing I want to say is, when we get to the bottom of this, we have found that there is a third party application called Access Now. And who is funding this Access Now? It's George Soros. And what's the agenda of George Soros? Not once, not twice, but dozens of times. His entire agenda is anti-India. His entire agenda is to derail the good governance that is happening in this country. And who is he supported by? He's supported by the people. He's funding in this system. So जो हमारे system के अंदर जो छुपे हुए विभीषण हैं, जो ये opposition के so-called leaders हैं, they are the ones who's helping him further this agenda. I would suggest that why don't you wait for the Parliamentary Committee to get to the bottom of this? The Parliamentary Committee has already said they have to investigate this thoroughly. Apple has given a statement. Apple has clarified that this is nothing to do with a state-sponsored anything at all.
Yeah, Charu, you know, the Apple statement also is a bit of a problem, because they seem to have not clarified something which they should have, which is whether they have outsourced the messaging of this kind to any third party, which is Access Now. Vijay Gajera. My question is, Access Now, and Shyam Prasad Meka, please listen to it, because I'll come back to you after this. Vijay Gajera, you know, Access Now has, among others, funding from Omidyar Foundation, Open Society Foundation, Ford Foundation. Access Now, in a way, is directly connected to George Soros. George Soros bagged Citizen Lab, found out the Pegasus story. So obviously, there are connections going right up to George Soros, and he is, of course, not the best of well-wishers of India. You know, we know his position, we know what he says about this particular government, even about India. So is the opposition guilty of standing, even if inadvertently? I would not accuse them of actually, you know, asking George Soros to come to their aid and rescue. But are they inadvertently ending up standing with someone like George Soros, who really does not love India?
अभिषेक जी, आप एक चीज और भूल गए बोलना इसमें, कि जो एक्सेस नाउ एनजीओ है, इसके बोर्ड में सीमा चिश्ती जी बैठते हैं. सीमा चिश्ती जी जो वो है, वाइफ है सीपीआईएम लीडर सीताराम येचुरी की वाइफ, जो इसके बोर्ड में बैठती है. तो इसका क्या कनेक्शन है, ये आप देख लीजिए. दूसरा, जो आपने बोला सिटीजन लेब, जो पेगासस का जो बोल रहे थे कि उसने ढूंढा है उसमें, तो वो भी फंडेड बाय फोर्ड फाउंडेशन एंड सोरोस. दूसरा, कांग्रेस की पूरी लीडरशिप, सोनिया गांधी से लेके राहुल गांधी, उनके सलाहकार, मैं आपको बताता हूँ, सोनिया गांधी जी जो फोरम फॉर द डेमोक्रेटिक लीडर्स इन एशिया पैसिफिक, एक एनजीओ था 1994 में, उसमें काम करते थे. तो उसको फंड किसने किया था? सोरोस ने किया था. दूसरा, शशि थरूर है, जो उसने एक ट्वीट किया था कि सोरोस उसके बेस्ट फ्रेंड है. मनमोहन सिंह की जो बेटी है, वो ओपन सोसाइटी फाउंडेशन में काम करती है. सोनिया गांधी के जो सलाहकार है, हर्षमंदर जो सलाहकार थे यूपीए गवर्नमेंट के दौरान, वो ओपन सोसाइटी फाउंडेशन के बोर्ड में बैठते हैं. सलील सेठी, जो अभी वाइस प्रेसिडेंट है ये ओपन सोसाइटी फाउंडेशन के, वो भारत जोड़ो यात्रा में राहुल गांधी के साथ चले थे. तो ये लोग साल से काम कर रहे हैं. ये नॉनसेंस नहीं है. आपको लगता है ये कनेक्शन है? ये पूरे कनेक्शन है, जो ये पूरे डॉक्यूमेंटेड है. इसको आप क्योंकि आपके हिसाब से सही नहीं है, इसलिए आप नॉनसेंस बोल देंगे. ये आप
How is it nonsense, Shyam Prasad Meka?
No, I'll tell you. See, there is a shairi.
How is it nonsense, Shyam Prasad Meka? Let me just ask you.
Abhishek?
I'll ask. Charu, I'll come to you. Shyam Prasad Meka, listen. You know, tell me how this is nonsense. I am trying to connect the dots, and you explain to me how this is nonsense.
See, simple thing
Now,
is,
the organization which has sent... Listen, I'm asking you a question, then you answer. Access Now, the organization which has sent these messages, is the same organization which released a report in the month of February this year on internet freedoms. And it said that India was the capital of internet shutdowns in the world, trying to create a perception, a negative perception about Indian policing of the internet. The story came on a platform called The Wire. Who's the editor of The Wire? Seema Chishti. Who is Seema Chishti? She is also on the board of Access now. So there are obviously connections, Shyam Prasad Meka. This is not nonsense. There is clear element of coordination, if not outright conspiracy.
Yeah, I'll tell you. There is this Urdu shairi, no? तो इधर उधर का बात मत करो.
That applies to you, Shyam Prasad Meka. Give the answer.
And that's what I'm saying. The simple thing is, citizens of India, let them be opposition or Piyush Goyal. They are worried that there is something that is fishy happening. Let the governments.
Arey Baba, Piyush Goyal, we talk about Seema Chishti. We have made at least 40 calls today to Seema Chishti. She has not responded.
Wait.
She has not responded to messages.
You and
she
I
has
are
not taken calls.
conducting a
She could have
kangaroo court
released
here.
a statement.
We are not conducting a kangaroo court.
I am not
here.
conducting a kangaroo court. As a journalist, I asked the question.
Of India.
Listen, Shyam Prasad Meka, to you. Shyam
What
Prasad
is the
Meka,
government saying?
a story has emerged. Seema Chishti's name came. We sent messages to her. We sent in. We called so that we could ask her version, because so we are not saying that she is involved. I said there is an element of coordination. We wanted to ask these questions to Seema Chishti, and then she did not take the calls. She did not respond to messages. She could have explained her connection with Access Now, and then we would have known. We would have been wiser, Shyam Prasad Meka, about whether there is an element of coordination or not. That's what I'm saying. But then you have to answer. If there is coordination, then is it the handiwork of forces inimical to India and the Congress willy-nilly playing into their hands?
Now, first of all, if there are forces inimical to India and that they are being successful, the government of India need to be held accountable. Second, come out of this nonsensical mindset that everybody is trying to work against India. No, everybody loves India. The
George
entire
Soros, not
universe
everybody.
loves
George
India.
Soros.
Okay, wait a minute.
Okay, can I come in now?
Wait a minute.
Have you not heard
He
statements
asked
of George
me
Soros?
so many questions. Let me answer. You can come
you
in.
cannot use this ostrich
these are all
technique of
nonsensical
putting your head
things.
in the ground
So
and
now
pretending you don't know what is going on around you. It's your duty to stay updated.
Shyam Prasad Meka,
Oh, come on.
Shyam Prasad Meka, use better defense. You are getting time. You have to use better defense. You have to give answer. I'm saying I'm not accusing the Congress party or the opposition of anything. I'm only saying. I am not. I am not. I'm saying give better defense. I'm saying I'm not accusing. BJP would say it, but I am not accusing the Congress party of any conspiracy. I'm saying, did they end up playing into the hands of somebody who does not love India?
See, we don't care playing into anybody's hands. We play by the truth. We work for the country. We are not here to play these games.
You don't care about
that. That is Modi and Amit Shah's game.
If you're doing
Congress
it
party doesn't
deliberately,
play
it's
games.
terrible. And if you are
Shyam
doing it
Prasad
by
Meka
mistake,
says-
it's even worse.
Charu, Shyam Prasad Meka says we are doing what we are doing
can
for
I
the
come
love
in,
of our
Abhishek?
country. If
Yeah.
in doing so we end up playing in the hands of people inimical to India, we don't care.
No. I did not say.
And
Don't
you know
put
what?
your words in my
The
mouth.
surprising thing here
That's
is,
what he
Abhishek, that he does not have a defense. He has not put forward anything which is making any sense. So apart from rhetoric,
What?
unfortunately, he's not said
I
anything
am
of value.
not
But
playing on
let
his
me
pitch.
add some more facts here. No, I'm going to add some facts, and please don't speak over me.
No. Go ahead
It
and
is
add your
right
facts.
that you are
Don't
playing
make a
into the
judgment
hands
about me.
deliberately or otherwise of India haters, and I am already making a judgment, and
Who are
not
the
just me, the
India
whole
haters?
country is judging
All
you
the
for
world loves
actually
India.
playing
Who
hands
are
in
these
glove
people saying
with
that there are
open
India
India
haters?
haters. Now, Abhishek, I will request you to step in, please, because I want to put some facts here on board.
No, the
May
world
I-
Yeah.
loves India.
Mr. Meka, let her complete. I'll
If
come
you
back to
please
you.
moderate
Last 3
and
minutes.
ask this
I'll come
opposition
back to you, Mr.
person to
Meka.
wait. Yeah. Okay, now when you were talking about Seema
Quickly,
Chishti,
Charu, quickly.
I'll tell you some
Quickly.
more things which are not a mere coincidence. Who broke the Pegasus story? The Pegasus story was broken by Seema Chishti. Who broke this story? The Apple one, Seema Chishti again. Who serves on the board of Access Now? Seema Chishti again. Who is she married to? Sitaram Yechuri. Now, in all of this, Rahul Gandhi ji
Sitaram Yechuri
rushes
some
to take
sort of
a
a
press
criminal?
conference, similar to what he had done during Pegasus. 1 minute, let me finish. Now, when Rahul Gandhi takes a press conference this time, similar to what he had done during Pegasus, you know what happened when the Supreme Court constituted a committee to investigate into the Pegasus charge? Mr. Gandhi refused to hand over his phone. So when it came to proving that statement that he was openly making without thinking of the repercussions, he could not even hand over his phone for investigations because he knew nothing would be found. So the fact of the matter is, and I am repeating this, they have deliberately
So you know
played into the
everything.
hands of India haters.
Okay.
They do not want to cooperate with investigation. They
Okay.
think that just levying charges against the government of
Okay.
India is sufficient and nobody is going to call them
Okay.
out for it. Well, that's
Shyam
not
Prasad
going to
Meka.
happen. We are calling you out for it.
Okay.
No, very simple
Okay.
thing is this is
Got it.
laughable.
Shyam Prasad, make a quickly.
This
Shyam Prasad,
is
make a quickly
laughable.
30 seconds.
So why
In
did
Pegasus,
Mr.
the
Gandhi not
opposition
give his phone for
refused.
investigation?
Shyam Prasad, I'm asking a question. Quickly, 30 seconds. The opposition in the Pegasus story did not share its mobile phones equipments with the Supreme Court appointed committee. If now, in this case of alleged snooping, as opposition says, by some state actors, according to the message sent by Access Now on behalf of Apple, would opposition leaders who have received these messages share their mobiles with the investigation, whichever is assigned? Would you agree with that?
See, on a TV studio, you and I can't decide how people will react, right? So there are issues and the government of India need to come clean. Don't know, we don't worry about any India haters because we don't believe there is nobody.
Vijay
who is
Gajera, who
hating
needs to
India.
come clean on this?
People
Vijay
love
Gajera.
India.
Vijay Gajera, who needs to come
People
clean on this?
love
What is
India.
from India haters?
Come on,
विजय
Mr.
गजेरा,
taking
India.
money
इसमें
from
सच
India
किसको
haters.
बोलना है? एप्पल को
Come
सच
on,
बोलना है,
taking
एक्सेस
money
नाउ
from
को
India
सच
haters.
बोलना है या
Nobody who
ऑपोजिशन
is
को सच
hating
बोलना
India.
है?
People love India worldwide.
मैं एक चीज इसमें जोड़ना
ओके
चाहता हूँ।
या
ये एक्सेस नाउ आपने
Okay,
जो
श्याम
बोला
प्रसाद
ना
में।
कि वो जो अभी इंटरनेट शटडाउन पे काफी सारे आर्टिकल लिख रहे हैं, इवन पिटीशन कर रहे हैं। क्यों? क्योंकि जॉर्ज सोरोस जो है वो रेजिमा चेंज स्पेशलिस्ट है। जितने भी आज तक कलर रेवोल्यूशन हुए उसमें उसका बहुत बड़ा हाथ रहा है। तो कैसे प्रोटेस्ट करना है, किस तरह से प्रोटेस्ट करना है, कैसे छुप के रहना है, वो सारा कुछ प्लान करके वो बताते हैं। उनके जुड़े हुए एनजीओ करते हैं। तो जब इंटरनेट बंद कर दिया जाता है तो इनकी जो दुकान है या इनका जो प्लान है वो फ्लॉप हो जाता है। तो वो उस हिसाब से इनके सामने भी लड़ रहे हैं। अगर आप एक्सेस नाउ के आर्टिकल देखेंगे तो एक साल में 8 से 9 आर्टिकल इंटरनेट के ऊपर आए हैं और जॉर्ज सोरोस ने $7 लाख अभी
Okay.
रिसेंटली 2023 में वो डोनेट
Okay.
किया।
Okay, Vijay Gajera, I'm run out of time. Charu Pragya, quickly, exactly 10 seconds. You have to tell me whether the government is going to scale up investigation and go beyond the statements that have been made by the ministers. Are they going to order an inquiry where Apple should be called and asked to clarify what they mean when they say what they have said, and whether they allowed someone like Access Now to send these messages on their behalf?
Absolutely, and I think the Parliamentary Committee is already looking into it. It must be done, and it must be done at the earliest. When a huge company like Apple is also getting hit by attackers, we have to take it seriously. But at the same time, we cannot have the Indian opposition hit out at the government without cooperating with the investigation. This is Pegasus Part 2. Levy allegations and then run away.
Thank you so much, Charu Pragya, Vijay Gajera, and Shyam Prasad Meka. I've really run out of time, but you see, what is important is letting Access Now send these messages, and to say that for tech support, please come to them, is like making a farmer in charge of a Tata Steel plant, or perhaps making a political science professor CEO of Infosys. That's something which does not happen, and that's something which is fishy and a matter of inquiry. Hopefully, the government would go to the bottom of it. On that note, thank you so much, friends, for joining us. A short break on the other side. Trending burning question is back.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
Presented by हर घर का हीरो ग्रीनप्लाई का E0. Powered by Edelweiss Mutual Fund. SIP से सब होगा.
QS&THE, the world's foremost university rankings organizations, have ranked Amity amongst the top 3% universities globally, making it among the very few Indian universities to be included in both rankings. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
I'm getting someone to help you, Bertram.
Help me, sir?
Yes, someone to pamper me.
Pamper you, sir?
The next gen MG Hector. It's a human thing.
खूबसूरत सी तुम कोई चिंता करो पीछे भरोसा खड़ा है तुम्हारे तुम नया कल बनाते रहो
जब कोई हमारी बाकी चिंताओं को संभाल लेता है तो हम कर पाते हैं खूबसूरत सी कोई चिंता टाटा कैपिटल में हम आपकी हर फाइनेंशियल चिंता को संभाल लेते हैं ताकि आप करें सिर्फ खूबसूरत चिंताएं
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
PC Chandra Jewelers presents Dhanteras Dhan Varsha offer. 25% off on jewelry making charges, 10% off on the value of diamonds and precious stones, 100 rupees off per gram of gold jewelry. Win attractive mega prizes. Offer valid till 11th November. Terms and conditions apply. Visit us today. PC Chandra Jewelers, a jewel of jewels.
Poems, not my thing.
Are short stories your thing?
Yeah. I actually have some other app.
Phone pay accepts money from any app, whatever's your thing.
Actually, I'll take this thing also. Yeah.
Helps beat sensitivity fast. Sensodyne Rapid Relief.
पर इन्होंने तो बोला था बेस्ट प्राइस देंगे।
क्या बात कर रहा है?
नो हिडन चार्जेस बोला था।
क्या बात कर रहा है?
ऑफर्ड प्राइस और चेक में तो बहुत डिफरेंस है।
क्या बात कर रहा है?
तूने करेक्ट बोला था। गाड़ी ट्रू वैल्यू पे ही बिकती है।
सही बात कर रहा है। हमारे 50 लाख से ज्यादा कस्टमर्स मानते हैं बेस्ट प्राइस के लॉलीपॉप पे नहीं, गाड़ी बिकती है सिर्फ ट्रू वैल्यू पे।
Maruti Suzuki True Value.
Hey Alexa, start the Robo.
Introducing Forbes Robo Vacuum Cleaner. Daily cleaning as easy as 1, 2, 3. It dry vacuums, even wet mops, and recharges automatically. Get the Forbes Robo Vacuum Cleaner from Eureka Forbes.
देखिए, डॉक्टर्स आपकी प्रॉब्लम्स को समझकर प्रिस्क्रिप्शन लिखते हैं। इसलिए बीपी, डायबिटीज, जो भी लाइफस्टाइल डिजीजेस हो, उन्हें नजरअंदाज मत कीजिए। सही दवा लीजिए, सही टाइम पर लीजिए और डॉक्टर की सलाह से ही उन्हें छोड़िए, खुद से नहीं। मैनकाइंड फार्मा, सर्विंग लाइफ।
The government of Odisha has always been a farmer's government. Thanks to the exemplary policy of the Honorable Chief Minister Shri Naveen Patnaik, Odisha is now a frontrunner in India in extending MSP support to millet farmers. The direct benefit transfer support for adopting improved practices of millets has been increased from 14,500 rupees for 3 years to 26,500 rupees for 5 years per hectare for the upliftment of farmers. The Odisha government has allocated rupees 2,687 crore till 2026-27 for the implementation of millet mission, which will directly impact over 5 lakh farmers across 30 districts in the next 5 years. In yet another historic step by the Honorable Chief Minister Shri Naveen Patnaik, millets have now been introduced into the PDS in addition to rice. By this, countless tribal millet farmers will be immensely benefited as well as financially empowered. To celebrate International Year of Millets and Mandiya Divas in 2023, Government of Odisha is organizing an international convention on millets on November 9th and 10th at Janata Maidan, Bhubaneswar.
New Hawkins Tri-Ply Pressure Cooker. Spices don't stick. Food doesn't burn. New Hawkins Stainless Steel.
Welcome to AU Video Banking.
यहाँ बैंक के सारे काम हो सकते हैं। सोच बदलो और बैंक भी। AU Small Finance Bank. बदलाव हमसे है।
4x4 with 7 terrain modes and autonomous level 1.
The advanced MG cluster. Drive unstoppable.
टिप चाहिए, पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ। डूबेगा नहीं, चलेगा भी नहीं, कोई खा नहीं जाएगा और मिनिमम 30 साल का रिटर्न देगा। अब इससे बेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट है तो बताओ? सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम, रहो बेफिक्र।
Fresh leads in Mahua Moitra payoff scam. Unaccounted foreign trips and Dubai logins. Mahua payoff scam investigation debating tonight at 9 p.m. Israel fights a three-front war now. Need for global consensus on terror. Israel's three-front war debating tonight at 10 p.m. Trending burning question, powered by Reva University and Century Ply Club Prime, co-powered by Hyundai Motors.
Hello, welcome. You're watching the Trending Burning Question with me, Shavansan. Ladies and gentlemen, Yemen's Houthis have now waded into Israel-Hamas war that's raging more than 1,000 miles from their seat of power in Sana'a. They have declared that they had fired drones and missiles at Israel in attacks that highlight the regional risks of the conflict. Now, part of an axis of resistance that is backed by Iran, the Houthis have rallied behind the Palestinians since Hamas attacked Israel on 7th of October, opening a new front for a movement that has waged war for 8 years with a Saudi-led coalition in the Gulf. Important to point out here is that not just a two-front war, it does appear that this is a three-front war that is coming up. Remember, while Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan haven't really shown the kind of appetite to join this conflict, but as far as pressure growing on Israel is concerned, remember, the Western allies certainly find themselves doing the tightrope walking. Joining us on the Trending Burning Question tonight are Terry Newman as well as Dr. Joseph Chalur, who's going to join us in a short while from now. But before that, let's just play out this report, which gives you a sense of what's the current situation on the ground. Because remember, while the military operation has already begun, many say that it isn't the way it was expected. Slow, but as Israel says, it's a steady operation that is being carried out.
Houthi rebels in Yemen, who are backed by Iran, released a video statement in which they've asserted that they had launched ballistic missiles and drones targeting Israel. The statement was released after the Israeli military reported successfully intercepting a group of aerial threats. The attempted assault was carried out in response to what it called a brutal Israeli-American aggression in Gaza. This comes after thousands of Yemenis in the Houthi rebel-controlled capital of Sana'a gathered on Friday in a show of solidarity with Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. The Israeli military stated that it has deployed Navy missile boats at the Red Sea in accordance with the situational assessment and as per part of defense efforts in the area. Independent experts, Western nations and United Nations investigators have linked components discovered on intercepted vessels to Iran, providing supporting evidence for the Houthi claims. The Houthi claims further implicate Iran in the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas as Tehran continues to be a primary supporter of the Houthi faction. Despite persistent denials from Iran regarding their arming of the Houthis, evidence suggests that they have been supplying the Yemeni militia with firearms, rocket-propelled grenades, missiles and other weaponry via maritime routes. Agency report for Republic TV.
Joining us on the Trending Burning Question tonight is Terry Newman. In a short while from now would be joining us from Tel Aviv. Dr. Joseph Chalil is also joining us from Florida. And Dr. Sergey is the president of IDC Russia, is joining us from Moscow. But before I go across to Dr. Sergey, let me bring in Dr. Joseph. Dr. Joseph, with regards to the pressure that is building on the Western allies, undoubtedly one is the fact that they have to show the kind of strength or backing that they would have expected to be giving it to Israel. But the reality is this, that they are also walking the tightrope at this point in time, and that is quite evident from the very fact that you have US President saying that humanitarian aid should be increased to Gaza. But remember, as far as the Security Council is concerned, there too there appears to be a lot of confusion with a little backing really being given to Israel.
That is very true, because America and its allies are in a tighter spot because we cannot be involved in a direct war without showing mercy to the plight of innocent victims in the war. So it's a balanced act of while providing $100 million to Palestinians, refugees, and potentially for and help over there, we also need to stay strong with our partner Israel, and also in the event, because as I mentioned in our previous days, Iran is a bigger problem, not just for Israel, but for US and Saudi Arabia, and it complicates the matter because America has been negotiating with Iran on the nuclear deal, on giving the money back for getting their hostages back. And now if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, and we know Iran is backing the Hamas and the Hezbollah and the Houthi rebels, so it's a proxy war done by one country. That's going to change the whole equation of Middle East. The peace what we all dream for or hope for will be gone forever. Or if Iran acquires a nuclear weapon, they won't be untouchable. So if they nuke some neighboring countries, so that will put then Saudi on point to acquire weapons for themselves. That will put America in a very bad spot. So I am afraid that it will we would lose control over it unless we can control and manage the attacks from Iran and potentially and manage the nuclear program what they have. And this is Hamas war, might be a nuisance, might be a distraction, while Iran is completing their development program for the weapon. That's the fear I have.
Dr. Chalil, I just want to take another question with you with regards to the current situation concerning the Security Council, which has failed to pass any resolution to Gaza, neither condemning the Hamas attack on Israel or essentially calling for a ceasefire. In fact, 4 attempts have already been made, which has completely failed because of the vetoes of pro and anti-Israel resolution by the Council's permanent members. That also includes the United States of America, Russia, as well as China. That in itself shows how we are divided at this point in time, and perhaps the need of the hour was for the global world to come together to fight terrorism. What sort of a message are we sending? Why is there a duplicity when it comes to calling on Hamas's terror?
I think it's been very clear in the past or ongoing 2 conflicts, whether it is a war on Ukraine or the Israeli, Hamas and Iran issue. One thing which we all know for sure, United Nations have become I would say useless, and it's time to call for dismantling the UN, because most of the countries have no say in it. It's time maybe a League of Democracies should step up, like the League of Nations came up, and then UN came in after. So the purpose of the UN, way it is structured right now, with the majority of the voices have no say in it, like India have no say, African Union has no say in it, South America has no say in it, and a few Security Council members can block everything what comes in. And plus, when there is a war, they're not actually calling Hamas a terrorist, they're not calling attack on Israel a terrorist attack. And so that is not appropriate. So it's time for UN to rethink. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you, Dr. Chalil. You can make your point.
No, all I'm saying is, it's time to reconsider is the validity of the UN per se. So, if maybe the League of Democracies is the future, where countries like India, countries like Israel, countries like USA, and the democratic countries all the world come together to make decisions, as opposed to few Security Council members blocking and not calling spade a spade, not calling terrorist a terrorist. Unfortunately, India also have not, denounced, or India hasn't made Hamas an official terrorist organization yet. Maybe it's time to reconsider that we should declare Hamas as a terrorist organization and Iran as a state sponsor of terrorism.
Well, Dr. Chalil, we'll also try and see if we can go across to our guest joining us from Israel to just get that perspective, because at this point in time, when I spoke earlier in the day to the Israeli diplomat with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, essentially indicating that they would have hoped that there's some sort of a consensus that built among the Middle Eastern nations, but that's not really happening, and perhaps that is one of the reasons why a threat, an empty threat even by Iran, certainly comes across as a setback for Israel. Iran, how do you really see in the days to come, perhaps would turn the situation?
Again, I would not call threats by Iran as empty, because sometimes we need to be careful about what they say, because they have again I've been to Lebanon and Beirut. Even the Beirut International Airport is controlled by Hezbollah, so they can transport stuff to Beirut without any control, because the government of Lebanon has no control over the Beirut International Airport. So Hezbollah has is a serious organization, right, with power.
Dr.
Yes.
Chalil, I think so. We've just got our guest from Israel also joining us, because the point that you've made, Avishak, thank you very much for joining us. The question that I was asked also,
thank you for having me,
our esteemed guest from United States of America right now, is the fact that the kind of global alliance that one would have expected to fight against terror, that seems to be dissipating. Look at what has happened in the Security Council. Till date, we do not have a resolution that condemns the terror of Hamas. Hamas not being declared as a terrorist organization in itself is a huge setback. Perhaps it is for the Western world to also realize that if they continue in a divided manner, it is absolutely impossible for any country, be it Israel or even for that matter India, to fight against terrorism.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the lack of condemnation, the wide condemnation of the UN, shows on a very deep level of low morality that we are experiencing around the world. Because wars has been with us since, since ever. And what we are seeing right now, it's not about a war. It's about how you conduct a war and how you operate against a military, against a state, to achieve your own goals, how you do that, okay? If it's under the international law for armed conflict, or it's exactly the opposite, which is doing everything against civilians and using your own civilians as human shields. This is a moral question that the people around the world should ask themselves, in which side they are standing. There were many battles, many efforts in different communities and states around the world that aim to have their own independent state and sovereignty. But the way they choose to do that was different. It was not the way that the Palestinians people, the Arab people living here in this territory have chosen through the years. They've chosen time and time again, also in the Palestinian Authority, not just in Gaza. They have chosen constantly with leaders, so-called, that they are encouraging violence, calling for a genocide for Jewish people. It's in their charter. I'm talking about Hamas. And obviously the Palestinian leadership in the West Bank, we all know Mahmoud Abbas is pretty moderate, but his PhD work, his PhD paper was about Holocaust denial. So as long as they will keep choosing and the culture of that will still be existing within the Palestinian society, nothing will be really solved. And this is not for us, for Israelis, because we're going to suffer it as well, not only them. But they are also the main sufferers, the people who are suffering under their leadership that uses them. They uses them to get money from aid around the world that doesn't really go to the Palestinians themselves. And they're using them as a pawn in their game. And they are the main people who are suffering. And we are seeing this right now, what's happening in Gaza. And the world should ask himself, okay, if we want to stop the suffering of both people, how do we do that? What we're seeing in Gaza right now, it's heartbreaking. Nobody wants to kill. We don't want to kill. We're not happy when Gazans are dead. We don't want that. Israel gave them a day before we started to attack Hamas military operation. So, this is not what we want. And trust me, if we want to do that, we could do it tomorrow already. We could have erased Gaza, but we are not doing this. We are letting them know ahead to evacuate, and the world needs to ask himself, okay, so now it's a time that we will see a lot of casualties. But what is the end game? What is the results? What do we want to see? Do we want to go back to it after, if let's say we have a ceasefire, we want to go back to this situation in a few years from now? No, we don't want that, right? So think strategically.
Abhishek, this is a situation
what exactly
that you've been staring at. But this is a situation that you've been staring at for several years put together. The question that I was asking you, Abhishek, is that this is a situation that you have been staring at for several years, rather decades put together. The question that many would have asked is that had you not made the mistake of thinking that Hamas was busy governing Gaza, you could have actually eliminated the leadership of Hamas, and this situation wouldn't have really come up to begin with. But having said that, the other important aspect, Abhishek, that I want you to perhaps bring in or draw your attention to is the fact that look at the current situation in terms of the Middle Eastern countries, or rather the Arab nations. You would have expected that some sense would have really prevailed, but that's not really happening. Iran seems to have been issuing empty threats when you have Iran's foreign minister making that statement that we are not part of the war, but it happens that it so happens that the same very militants who've been backed by Iran are opening up all possible front against Israel. And this is something that the Western world ought to understand. The hypocrisy of the West is also something that everyone needs to call out.
Well, saying Iran is not, that Iran doesn't have any side of what's happening right now, it's like saying, it's like saying the Holocaust did not happen, or the earth is flat. So it's like ignoring from reality. This is something that we all should be worried about, that our leaders around the world, I'm not talking about the United States, France, and the UK that are supporting in Israel, and also Germany and other states around the world, at which we deeply appreciate their support, needed and must to have a support. I'm talking about the fact that many leaders of many countries around the world are just ignoring that, or choosing not to take a side, choosing to be neutral. Now, it's what's happening right now. It's not going to stop only in Israel. It's going to continue further. And we already see it in rallies in New York. You hear a rally last night in New York when a lot of Muslims gathered and say Islam should dominate the world. And they did it openly, wide in the streets of New York. This is something we all should be worried about. Now, I'm talking right now to the Muslim community in India and around the world, whoever watches us. I have also very dear friends who are Muslims here in Israel and abroad. They are afraid to talk. This topic is too sensitive in the Islamic and Arab world, and they are afraid for their life to take a stand or to stand against radicalism within their society, which is something that is very sad and very tragic, because we don't want to make it a religious war. The religious war is going to be very, very bad for the world. It's going to lead to a third world war, which is we all want to prevent. But we don't hear enough voices coming from the Arab world and the Muslim world condemning what's happening and really aiming for a brighter and hopeful future for the Palestinians with a normal and decent leadership that will lead them into a good future, a future that they will be safe, that they will get the aid that they are getting constantly throughout the decades, which they are not getting, a leadership that will protect them and not going to use them as human shields, a leadership that will educate them for peace and living peacefully with their Jewish neighbors, a leadership that will educate them and that will learn how to create cultural centers and educational centers and medical centers with all the money they are getting. They're just not, you don't see it, not in the Palestinian Authority and not in Gaza. And I'm talking right now, I'm approaching all the Muslims around the world that are watching this. Speak out, because this is not Islam. What we are seeing right now, it's radicalism. And if you don't want, Islam will be stained under the colors of blood and death, then speak out, because we need your voice to stop this hate, whatever is going on right now around the world, which is crazy.
Well, in fact, one would like to be optimistic about this, but Dr. Joseph, once again, I would like to, draw your attention to the fact that one ought to be optimistic at this point in time, hoping that at least when it comes to the fight against terrorism, I'm not too sure whether you're being able to hear me, but let me just take this question to Dr. Joseph. One final word from you, Dr. Joseph, is the fact that West's hypocrisy is what I've been highlighting. There's a reason for this. We've seen what really happened during the Russia-Ukraine war. We are seeing a rerun of this right now. What is happening right now inside United Kingdom, talking about the Labour Party, there is a growing discontent within the Labour Party too. For the United States of America, there is a growing discontent amongst the progressive Democrats. So because of the internal demand or an internal requirement, perhaps a fight for terror is completely weakened.
I agree with you 100%, and I agree with our previous guest asking for the majority shouldn't be silent. But we also, again, as I said earlier, the United Nations have failed us. It's time. Maybe I have a proposal which is coming out soon. I see the problem is not just Iran fighting the proxy war. It's money behind all these things involved. So, maybe a solution could be a potential, post-ceasefire, post-war building would be an India to take a lead in brokering a peace between this for a permanent peace. And the proposed Middle East, India, Europe corridor could potentially have an expansion into the Palestinians and potentially offer employment for them, because the problem is these youths over there have no dream to dream about other than jihad and no future or no employment or no pension for their families. Imagine if we can provide some sort of if the Middle East could come together and offer employment for Palestinian youth outside of the land and prosperity in their land. Hopefully they will not have time for all this fighting and bring constant peace. So maybe I'm recommending, Prime Minister Modi, I'm urging you, please take a lead in brokering peace and potentially taking a lead, because the West is divided. The West is not trusted in the Middle East. India is a trusted partner to the Middle Eastern countries as well as Israel. We are partner with both. We are friends with both. We have Indian diaspora in Israel and in almost all Middle Eastern countries. We're talking about 10-20% of many countries are of Indian origin. So this is time. Our leadership can take a lead and potentially bring in permanent peace to the Middle East and bring up. And bring in economic stability to this land, and hopefully, because I don't think Israelis want to kill anybody. I don't think, if given economic reasons, the Palestinian youth of the future, will not be interested in jihad, and they'll be busy making money and working, because you can right across the wall in Gaza. I've been to Gaza. It is not exactly what you see in Gaza. They need.
I would like to add.
Right.
Yeah, I would like to add to that.
I'm running out of time, but just make that quick, and the last word to you.
Okay, Israel throughout the decades have multiple programs together with the Palestinian Authority, giving work permits for Palestinians from the West Bank. They're coming in their thousands daily to come and work here in Israel. Same from Gaza. A week before October 7th, the government authorized for another 10,000 Gazans to come and work in Israel to have a better paycheck and a better life because they're not getting the aid that Hamas is taking from them. So education and work is something that is very important, and I think that it's not enough. Israel, it's not enough. We need more factors that will be involved in order to create a better reality, a better future for these people, for these young children who are being educated to be martyrs, and to be terrorists from youth. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Avishag, as well as Dr. Joseph, for joining us on the teddy burning question. That's all that we could pack in this edition. On the other side, the big debate with Editor-in-Chief Arnab Goswami.
Hello, Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
Powered by Reva University, a social impact multidisciplinary university. Century Ply Club Prime, Raho Befikar. Co-powered by Hyundai, it is safe if it's 6.
65-inch 4K. देख मन, फिसल मत. यही चाहिए, यही लूंगा, यही चाहिए. प्राइस तो देख. तू इस बार भी नहीं लेगा ना? लूंगा ना. अगली दिवाली.
अपने मन की विश को मत टालो. SBI कार्ड के फेस्टिव EMI ऑफर्स के साथ जो मन चाहे ले डालो.
QS&THE, the world's foremost university rankings organizations, have ranked Amity amongst the top 3% universities globally, making it among the very few Indian universities to be included in both rankings. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
I'm getting someone to help you, Bertram.
Help me, sir?
Yes, someone to pamper me.
Pamper you, sir?
The next-gen MG Hector. It's a human thing.
I have obsessed over the last 10 years in just figuring out how I can make young women more unstoppable. And as an entrepreneur, you're only as good as your last big product, your last financial year success. And that's why it's not a one-time breakthrough, but you have to keep doing it over and over again. And I think as Sugar, we've been able to do that because we're obsessed.
Catch Techno Phantom V Flip 5G presents Women Pioneers of India this weekend, only on Republic TV.
Whenever I had ice cream or cold water, I would experience a sharp shooting sensation. So I just kept ignoring it. Even my hot chai was giving me the same amount of discomfort. My dentist recommended Sensodyne. So now I can be completely carefree and sip my hot cup of tea. It really works.
Do you know there's an investor protection fund for investors, IPF, but if your trade isn't executed on the exchange or if it's some guaranteed return scheme, then even IPF will not be able to help you.
And what if your broker becomes a defaulter? Then?
In that case, IPF can provide you with compensation.
Where did you learn this?
NSE's website.
Dinosaur Kanda. Oh, damn! World War I की antique gun. Oh, damn! फिर दीवार तोड़ो, फिर बनाओ.
बर्जर डैम स्टॉप लगाओ. इसका नैनो सिलिकॉन टेक्नोलॉजी चढ़ा वाटर प्रूफिंग का कवर जो बिना दीवार तोड़े डैम रिपेयर करे. बर्जर डैम स्टॉप.
No झंझट, डैम स्टॉप, फटाफट.
रंग भरा एक किस्सा है. तू वो यार है, तू ही त्योहार है.
हर कार में है त्योहार. मारुति सुजुकी अरीना. Find your match.
मिश्रा जी,
दिवाली का एक्स्ट्रा बोनस मिल गया क्या आपको?
नहीं मैडम सर। क्यों?
आपकी शाही दावत देखकर तो लगता है।
वो क्या है ना मैडम सर, इस बार थोड़ा एक्स्ट्रा इनकम हो गई।
मिश्रा जी,
स्मार्ट बाजार में ग्रोसरी इतने कम दाम में मिल गई तो हो गई ना एक्स्ट्रा इनकम।
मिश्रा जी,
मीठा।
चलिए।
आ गया फेस्टिवल सेल 1 से 15 नवंबर। इस दिवाली ग्रोसरी सबसे कम दाम में चाहिए?
स्मार्ट बाजार चलिए।
The boldly stylish and comfortable Honda Elevate. You're the chase.
बोल्टास बैको
ये 30 दिन तक फ्रूट्स और वेजिटेबल्स
को फ्रेश रखता है और तुमने मान लिया। एंड वैसे भी 30 दिन की सब्जियां कौन खाता है?
तो
वोल्टास बेको डुअल कूलिंग रेफ्रिजरेटर की स्टोर फ्रेश टेक्नोलॉजी से सब्जियां 30 दिन तक फ्रेश रह सकती हैं।
Voltas Beko, tested by real moms.
The government of Odisha has always been a farmer's government. Thanks to the exemplary policy of the Honorable Chief Minister Shri Naveen Patnaik, Odisha is now a front-runner in India in extending MSP support to millet farmers. The direct benefit transfer support for adopting improved practices of millets has been increased from 14,500 rupees for 3 years to 26,500 rupees for 5 years per hectare for the upliftment of farmers. The Odisha government has allocated rupees 2,687 crore till 2026-27 for the implementation of Millet Mission, which will directly impact over 5 lakh farmers across 30 districts in the next 5 years. In yet another historic step by the Honorable Chief Minister Shri Naveen Patnaik, millets have now been introduced into the PDS in addition to rice. By this, countless tribal millet farmers will be immensely benefited as well as financially empowered. To celebrate International Year of Millets and Mandiya Divas in 2023, Government of Odisha is organizing an international convention on millets on November 9th and 10th at Janata Maidan, Bhubaneswar.
ये सब क्या है?
From the Delhi studios of Republic TV, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate.
Arnab Goswami on the debate at 9, presented by